Hello, Facebook and YouTube. Welcome to Divine Spiritual Tarot. I am here to give y'all some self-love, as well as I believe in self-love and things like that as well. I read a lot of books, and I also help others to know about their spirituality, as well as to go on their spirituality journey. That is a part of my channel. I also will be doing readings afterwards, but right now I am reading this book called The Daily Laws, and it is by Robert Greene. So then I will be reading, I have it on my Facebook and YouTube. It's called Community Skills for Healthy Boundaries here. So it has something to do with community skills and healthy boundaries. It's good to have communication skills, because if you don't have communication skills, it's not really good. And it also helps you, this book helps you with healthy boundaries. Then we will be reading, so I will be doing 2 channels today. We will be reading The Dark Psychology. So, and that is about emotional, and also body language. I will be reading a little bit of that as well. So let's start. I hope you guys are having a good weekend, and I hope y'all have a good week. Also, I'm back with another one. I know y'all tired of seeing my face, but y'all go keep seeing it until you get it right for some of you guys. Because self-love and also self-care and spiritual work is good for you guys, especially shadow work. I have been doing shadow work almost 2 years now on myself, but I also help others to do it as well. It means it's about the dark night of the soul as well. Shadow work is you are identifying your ego and things that you need to work on, as well as abandonment issues is another one. Also, anger issues could be another one, guilt, depression, and things like that, because today they are happening, and a lot of people do not reality or look at those things. They ignore them. So I believe that you should work on them, because I work on them a lot. I had to learn the hard way not to work on my mental health, and I went down a rabbit hole. But I thank the Most High that I am out of that rabbit hole, and I am here to help others to do the same, as well as their spirituality. I believe in spirituality, and I also believe in also you finding your identity and knowing who you are, not for others but for yourself. So let's start. We're on January the 6th, the 26th, the 16th, January the 16th. So we're here on, it has something to do with there are no surprise callings. Okay, that's what the title is. It says, keep in mind that you are continuing to a culture that can come into many forms. You do not have to become a entrepreneur or also figuring some long on the world strategies. You can do just as well as one person into a group of organization, as long as you retail a strong point of view that is your own, and use this in a gentle example of influences to help others as well. It has something to do with your path can avoid leaving you and snapping on the quality, but it can be rising a family in the best way possible. It says it's many events. You will want to go as far as you can, but your quality and or original that's going within it. So going within will find your original self. Being an influencer, you could be an influencer, you could be any of those things, but if you don't know yourself and you don't go within, you false. That's what they're trying to say here, okay? You're false. That's why it says there are no surprise callings. There's no surprise callings. It says here you cannot be, it says you are the one of a kind. It says you are one of a kind, but the skills of example is no responsibleness, no reality. True freedom is the power we can possess as human beings. So being free, doing what you want to do, not what somebody else wants you to do, but doing what you want to do, is freedom. I know. I mean, I used to do a lot for others and things like that and want to do what they want me to do, but then I was unhappy. But when you doing for yourself and what you want to do, you are free. And that's what it's saying. It says the daily laws, no calling is surprise to another. So don't give your calling to another person. Everyone in this world have a calling. And when you're giving, if you're living your life for someone else, they're living your calling, not yourself. It has something to do with what matters is that it being tied to a personality. And so, like I said, people don't know how to be themselves, so they bring up a personality, a different personality, and they be a whole different type of person. They don't know how to be their identity. They don't know their identity. When you know your identity, you know your core values. We're going to be talking about that today. You know your core values when you know your identity, when you know yourself. It has something to do with that your energy moves towards improvements as well as learning from experiences. So when you're living your life, you're learning from experiences every day. Every day you're learning something. It says the law of human nature. Yeah, so that is what it is. So in this chapter, it's about there are no surprise callings, and it has something to do with you could be an entrepreneur, you could be anything in the world, but if you're living your life for someone else, they're walking your calling. Okay, that's what it's about here. They're walking your calling, and you're not free when you're doing what somebody else want you to do. You're not free. You're living for them. You living your life for them, and that's not good. Okay, so that's that one. It's called The Daily Laws by Robert Greene. So let's do communication skills and also healthy boundaries. Communication skills and also healthy boundaries. We're gonna read. So, okay. We got grounding is knowing. We're gonna be on. Hey, you turn that down, please. So we have here grounding is knowing. So grounding is this first skill, and it has something to do with grounding is knowing. It says your purpose of learning the skills is to be grounded in knowing what matters to you the most. It says your core values. You have the chance to consider what is of higher perspectives to you. It says no one else. It says here, for the sake of the activities as well as defining values as your worth. Knowing your values and your worth. It has something to do with unuseful and important attachments to some core values will therefore be defined as the most center of worthy. It says usefully or importance of something to use. They're the way of who you are and what we do. Your core values. So it has something to do with grounding is knowing and knowing your core values. It says here using this list to identify the first 5 to consider your core values. So they have accountability here, activity, achievements, acknowledging, as well as balance, beauty, career, care, community, compassion, confidence, connections, as well as courage, as well as creativeness, as well as determination. We also have her empowering environment, as well as faith, family, focus, forgive, self-free, as well as freedom, friends, fun, as well as gratitude, grounding, growth, as well as harmony, health, home, honest, hope, as well as hospitality, independence, as well as jobs, stable, as well as joy, as well as kind, as well as knowledge, as well as laughter, as well as leadership, as well as learning, as well as love, as well as loyal, as well as motivation. It says as well as nurturing, open, original, practice, as well as peace, as well as relaxing, as well as resourceful, as well as respected, as well as responsibilities, as well as rest, as well as romance, as well as risk taking, as well as self discipline, as well as self express, as well as self importance, as well as service, as well as spirituality, as well as teamwork, as well as time, as well as your well-being. Those are your core values, and that means you know your core values. What do you want to do? What do you like to do? Okay. In this chapter, it has something to do with the affirm of your core values, as well as what your core values are. So that's what this chapter is about. By grounding and knowing yourself, you find your core values. The things that I just told you. Confidence is one. Beautiful is one. Balance is one. Determination is one. You know your core values. Okay? So let's go to the next skill. Culturing. The second skill is culturing confidence. So you're culturing your confidence. It says one of the most empowering perspectives is an understanding of who you are. It says, and who you are and the character of your purpose. It says there are your gifts. Now you identify your core values. This acknowledge and reframes the strength of any boundaries you set by connections, your boundaries with your purpose. So when you have a purpose, you want to put up boundaries. You get what I'm saying? Identifying your character of confidence. Confidence will reframe that your boundaries includes the likehood that you are to them and requiring to others to do the same. So when you have confidence in yourself, you know your core values. People gonna want to see that. They want to see people know they self. They don't want to see somebody that don't know their identity. People do probably want to be around them when they want to know their identity, but they only want to be around them to use them or what they got. They don't want to be around them because they like, I can use this person. They be like, I can use this person. They don't know their core values. They don't know their worth. They don't know their self. You get what I'm saying? And then that's when they can use you because you don't know your core values. It says that it says what you will learn, how core values are strengthening your confidence, how confidence reframe your boundaries, how boundaries with meaning behind them is a strong. Your personality believes and assists with your core values. So your personality is connected to your core values. And it has something to do with that YouTube and Facebook. We also have her thinking about the journaling. So journaling is really good. I journal every day because you can write down what you're thinking and things like that as well. It says why your core values consider the center of who you are. So when you journal, you knowing who you are. because every day you know what's going on, how you feel, how your emotions is, what you're doing, what do you like to do. You get, it doesn't have to be a long or either, but a reflection of mindfulness as you grow into confidence. So it helps you with confidence when you journal, as well as you knowing your core values. It says expressing why you choose your core values. Use the followings. So family time is one, like I was saying. You can use family time, rest, or balance. Being balanced is another one here. Okay, so we have here culture of confidence, and culture of confidence is having confidence because it empowers you to know your core values, but it also empowers you to put boundaries up towards others and knowing who you are. Because a lot of people don't put boundaries up to know who they are. They want to look good for the next person, or they want to put on a show for the next person. But at the end of the day, you're going to have to be by yourself, and you're going to have to look at yourself in that mirror. I know. I learned it. I went through it. That's why I teach others to go through it as well. Because when you don't know yourself, you're in a dark space, not knowing yourself and your personality. Okay? We got the last one for you here, and then I'll be on the next ones. Assertive advocate. So we have assertiveness here, being assertiveness. So assertiveness is now that you are identifying who your core values is and impressions of some of your boundaries, and how the boundaries gain strength by their connections to your prosperities. It says, let's have an example. Assertive communication. So being assertive in communication skills. Like I told you, you got to be assertive to others. It says thinking of being assertive as a harmony. It says as a harmony of blade. It says it's just enough mixture, and also their active will help you to figure out what kind of communication you tend to use. Then it says with assertive communication is you can use right away boundary setting situations. So being assertive to others and as well, and telling them how you feel in a nice and respectful manner, you can say no. It says that. So it says it has something to do with what you will learn. Assertive communication. What assertive communication is not. What is communication is assistance, and how core values guide boundaries. It says here, think about it. Why can't you help that person move on Saturday? So a person want to ask you to move, to help them move or something like that. It has something to do with the right. Because you have a communication you want to refrain from. It says giving yourself permission to be careless and consider the outcome you want to give to a situation. So people be doing stuff real fast. Like somebody can ask them something and they don't give themselves time to think about it. They just do it real quick. That's what they saying. You got to give yourself time to think about, do you want to do what that person wants you to do? Or do you want to, you got to think about, when that person asks you for something, you need to think about it before you react. And it has something to do with that here. That's assertiveness. And it has something to do with getting to the point. So you can get to the point. It says your status of your, it says cases of clear. I can help you move Saturday. I already have plans. So you can tell somebody, I already have plans. You know what I'm saying? If you don't want to do it, you got to think about it. When people be coming to you and communicating with you and things like that, you should think about what they be saying. Because some of them don't even put into action. And some of them be fake. And some of them just tell you what you want to hear just to get what they want out of you. That's why you have to think about what they're saying, and then don't react, but think. And then when you're ready to react what they're saying to you, then you do so. But don't do it so fast. because you can regret it at the end. Yeah. So assertiveness and yeah, minding your non-verbal, so you can be like non-verbal to them as well. Here it says eye contact. If they're not having eye contact, you know something up. They can't even look at you in your eyes when you having a communication with them. You know something wrong if they can't do eye contact with you. And it has something to do with that Facebook and YouTube, their positions as well. Also communication for us. Consider how you can rest your arms and taking. So you look at their hands and their arms and how their face impression is looking and things like that. That is body language. I'll be on that pretty soon about body language and about how you can see what a person is really about. And it has something to do with that as well here. It says being mindful of your non-verbal clues. So don't even tell them what you know about them, or don't even tell them what you see. Just see and move on if it's not for you. And it has something to do with that here. Check your tone. So checking your tone is don't be going off and hollering and screaming. You don't have to do all that. And it has something to do with that as well. Taking a deep breath, as well as using calm and clear voice to express yourself. So you can use a calm and clear voice to just express yourself. It has something to do with when you're feeling stepping on and not hands. It says it can be tempered to elevate your voice to get your message across. So it can be real hard because you want to put your message across. But if that person don't hear you calmly, they never go hear you. And it has something to do with that as well here, YouTube and Facebook. It says unfortunately yelling and shouting as well here. So yelling and shouting ain't gonna get your point across to nobody. And it has something to do with that as well, YouTube and Facebook. It says here helping you. It says putting and listening to your offense and stepping you up for your feelings of regret. So some people just ignore you and they want to get under your skin. So you shouldn't let that you shouldn't let that happen. If you can't talk in a calm voice, you need to walk away from them, because they're not gonna listen to what you're saying if you can't talk to them in a calm voice. Because hollering at them and trying to get your point across, it ain't gonna do nothing. I know. I went through it. It says now stop thinking about your current approach of communication. It says you are to ask for what you need. You can say no. That's why I say you can say no to somebody anytime you want to. And it has something to do with that. Communication is listening closely. So listen to their communication closely. Whatever they're telling you, listen to it. Yeah. It says when we show interest of others feeling like they are or hard, even if the outcome isn't what they want. For example, is there anyone you can ask? I can help you, but I believe John College son is looking for work. We also have here communication, having compassion is the next one. So minding your verbal, it says mind your verbal, your non-verbal. Check your tune. The other one is stop thinking about it. And the other one is communicate. It says stop thinking about it, but the other one is listening closely to their communication. It has something to do with compassion as well. Have compassion for them. It says if you can and want to, I can help you move in Saturday, but I can't stop by for a few hours on Sunday afternoon. So have some type of compassion as well for them. Practicing and using these skills, the front of a mirror, so it will help you, like I said, it's for you to know yourself. It says here arguments and possessive arguments and behavior here. It says have you ever heard the possessive arguments and describing someone else? It says if you can picture there or even related, maybe understands the mindset behind it. It says possessive argument behavior becomes of pent up frustration from negative influences with a person, or a situation. It says this book can help you to build skills and take it easy. So it will help you to communicate better with others. This book here I have. So that is what's going on here. So we went through this today, YouTube and Facebook. Effective communication skills is one we went through. Okay? And that's setting boundaries here. Then we did assertive communication. Assertive communication is the ability to, for yourself, when also respecting the need of others. Its interest is not dismissing yourself and possessing and giving in. So giving in for others. It says which can faster learn, help a victim mindset. It's also not ability to argue and defensive your point of view in a matter that results to your last regret. So you don't want to have no regrets. It says assertive communication allows you to speak with a confidence and affect what is of value and importance to you without dominating another. So that is assertive communication we went through as well. So we went through assertive communication here, as well as knowing your confidence is another one, as well as grounding and knowing your core values is another one here. That's what we went through today, Facebook and YouTube. So this book is called Communication Skills. It's called Communication Skills and Healthy Boundaries. Okay. So the next one we will be on is my Dark Psychology book here. Okay. Dark Psychology. Then I'll be on my merry way. So we're on emotional manipulation here. Yeah. Emotional manipulation. I think we already read this, didn't we? Yeah. Yeah, understanding the motivation behind manipulation here. Emotional manipulation here. Okay. Oh, hold on. I don't want it to fall. Give me a minute. Give me a minute. Okay. So we're on Dark Psychology, and this is understanding and your motivations behind emotional manipulation. It says emotional manipulation is that will leave a victim feeling confused, drained, and delusion. It says understanding the motivation behind manipulation is addressing these issues. It says providing insight into what manipulation is surely behaviors with the desire of power and control. So they want the power and control over you. Emotional manipulators. It has something to do with allowing them to verbal manipulating others surely as their own agreements. It says facts surely as unbringing social normal and also personal experiences can influence these tendencies of manipulators. So manipulators loves to be around social people. They very social, and there also are personal experiences that can influence the tendencies of manipulation. It says while not everyone to manipulate, those who do may be motivated to be entitled. They feel like they entitled to manipulate and emotional manipulate you. They feel like they manipulators. They feel like they emotional. They are entitled to do so, and it has something to do with that. The lack of empath. They don't care what they doing to you. With that empath, they don't care what they doing to you. The personal insecurities. So they have personality insecurities. They don't even know they self. And it has something to do with that as well. Or a desire for personal gain. Those motivation essence of emotional manipulation is healthy and social intentions. So being around, socializing with people and things like that, you go figure out that you dealing with some of them can be manipulators, and they will emotionally manipulate you. It says what is behind the manipulation and needs a method. It says, let us be clear. The manipulator is not meant to make us feel as though we should put up with them. In possibilities for a manipulator to read and understand others' weaknesses better. They love to look at other people's weaknesses, and it has something to do with that, so they can manipulate you. It says then they do for them. Then they do it for them. First, they try to get real close to you and get to know you and things like that, to see your weaknesses, especially if you're telling them your weaknesses. A lot of people come to people and they tell them their weaknesses, and that's a no-no, because they can use it against you. Yeah. It has something to do with they usually don't have opinions to reflect on the things of self-awareness. So if you self-aware and know what they doing, they go get ghosts on you. They don't even want to deal with you. They go get ghosts on you if you self-aware of what they doing. It has something to do with going against their needs to control. It says they will undouble reject it. Self-awareness is the first step towards correcting the imbalance in their intentions. So if you're self-aware of what they got going on and what they doing, they ain't gonna want to be around you. And it has something to do with that. It says for both the manipulation and the manipulator, it says all been with understanding the cause of human and control. So they love to control others. Manipulator and the manipulation. It says one is insecure and low vibe. So it being insecure as well as having low self-esteem, they will manipulate you. It says that here. It says often those who are emotional manipulating and having the sense of insecurities and low self-esteem, they can manifest in many ways, including self-doubt is one of them. That says believing that one is not worthy of respect. So having self-doubt about yourself and you believe that you're not worthy of respect, yeah, they can manipulate you. Self-blaming, over focusing on one's own mistake, understanding and accepting personal responsibility. So self-blaming, always blaming yourself. Another one is self-log, hating on oneself for being different or not living up to their examples. So hating on oneself for being different or not living up to experiences. So when a person wants something to happen, expectations to happen, they might not. They call it self-logging, self-doubt, so insecurities. So being insecure and having low self-esteem is self-doubt, self-blame, and self-logging here. Okay. We have people. It says people who have these feelings are more likely to engage in emotional manipulation as a way of coping with their insecurities. So they insecure. It says they may use manipulation techniques to control others and make themselves feel better or gain a sense of power. So they want to feel better. They do it because they want to feel better. But they very insecure. But they do it to make themselves look better than others, as well as manipulate others to maintain their personal lives. So fear of abandonment is another one. So we're on fear of abandonment now. It says fear of abandonment can drive someone in the edge of emotional manipulation, because they may believe that the manipulating others' emotions and behaviors is the best way to ensure they won't be abandoned. It says they may have experiences of past intentions of abandonment, rejection, leads to deep-rooted fears, as well as being left alone is unloved. It says these feelings can target and consider behaviors to control, manipulating others to maintain this present in their lives. So they don't want to be abandonment. They don't want to be abandoned. It's another one. Okay. It says here are some ways of abandonment can drive emotional manipulating. It says creating guilt. It says may manipulate others by making them feel guilty. That's one. Playing the victim is two. Those with a fear of abandonment may manipulate others by plotting or victim or playing with someone like empaths. Empaths is like they don't have no emotions. I mean, empaths do have emotions. Empath can feel everything, but when you don't feel nobody. Control behaviors, emotional blackmailing, as well as withdrawing affirmations of love. So they even take love from you and things like that. It says here, need the validation of attention. So they always need attention. It says frustrated do people with a need of verbal and attentions of using emotional manipulating to get what their attentions they crave. It says this is a complete topic, but it can be broken down into key points. Experiencing the power and all those of the need of verbal and attentions. Yeah. We have here the role of emotional manipulation of the power may use their status controlled by emotions of others in order to get their attentions they seek. It says the lack of empathy. It says while those with the need of verbal attentions may use emotional manipulation to gain the cravings, the lack of intimacy. It says it may also use emotional manipulation to achieve their desires outcome. Those who lack intimacy has a tendency to be selfish and the drive by a desire to get what they want without considering the feelings and the needs of other people. It says the making them more using emotional manipulating techniques to get their way. It says determination of some lack can be chasing, but it's understanding their thoughts, emotions, and behaviors over the experience of periods. It says, however, there are some signs may include the lack of it. It says their struggle to understand. It says they struggle to understand the relating of the feelings and experiences of others. They may dismiss the emotions of others and show little concern or understanding. They're permanently focusing on their own needs and desires and also own neglects they need of others. They often neglect the needs of others. It says they show little or no room of their actions even when they cause harm for others. It says they dominating the little and getting to know others, formal, meaningful connections. It says past trauma or learning behaviors. It says often emotional manipulators by lacking the past trauma or learning behaviors for around their manipulation. It says emotional manipulators can storm of sense of including intense trauma, learning behaviors, manipulating coping, toxic relationships, psychological abuse. It says it includes trauma. Who has experienced trauma in developing manipulating techniques to cope. It says trauma can lead to a disease of sense of control, fear, as well as causing the person to resolve and understand the power over others to protect themselves from further harm. So they do it because of further harm, because some of them have been through intense trauma. Okay, that's one of them. Is then we have here, I'm going to have to cut this down a little bit and then I'll be on my next one. Then we have her learning behaviors, including learning manipulating behaviors for their own bringing and also environment. It says if they grow up into environments where manipulators that common or rewarded, they may adapt their behaviors as the means of achieving their goals and maintaining control of relationships. Maintaining coping. Manipulators can be form those with emotional regrets and difficultness to experience their needs and desires to open, including healthy communication or problem solving. So they don't know healthy communication or problem solving. They may resolve manipulating what they want to avoid conflict. Toxic relationships. It says being avoided in toxic relationships. It says these manipulators and predators can someone adapt manipulating behaviors themselves. It says they may learn manipulation from their partnerships and feeling the need to manipulate to protect themselves into unhealthy dominant. Psychological abuse. Psychological abuse is the victim of psychological abuse is manipulating techniques against them. Over time, they may adapt the behaviors of the means of self-protection and the sense of control in their relationships. Manipulators have many reasons behind the action. However, some are motivated and driven by manipulating others. Understanding the root of those and giving the knowledge, as well as the behaviors of self. Key motivations of manipulating. Identifying the manipulator with some who may take control of your actions, behaviors, feelings. It is important to be aware of common motivations of manipulating. Some you may have regrets, feelings. Sometimes it's not right, or you may notify patterns of emotional trauma. It says beliefs of others. It says by yourself. Those motivations will lead to a better if you identify it. Control your power. So control yourself. Don't let nobody control you. Verbal attending. So verbal attending is telling that person you trying to manipulate me. Self perspectives. It says manipulating may use self perspective so they can be blaming you and things like that. So don't let them do that. Jealousy and insecure, personal gain and emotional justified. So it's like they want to justify their emotions here. Okay. So yeah. So that is it. I'll be on my next one for you guys pretty soon. Okay, bye bye.